Hey team, it is Jeb here from Adelaide RV and we're back for another episode of Adventure Ready. And today we are down in the Fleurieu Peninsula. We are in the beautiful south of Adelaide. It is absolute magic. And today we're going to be running you through tyre pressures. We're going to run you through the applications and what PSI and how to travel when you're on different road terrain. So we're going to be going through bitumen driving, we're going to be going through dirt corrugation driving, and everybody's favorite down on the beach to wrap up. So follow me as we go through and give you a bit of a talk through about the tools, the equipment, and what you need to make sure that you're set up to go anywhere in this great country. Okay, so starting off with equipment, again, if you want to be pumping up your tyres and deflating your tyres, you want to make sure that you have a compressor with you at all times. So what I've done is we've grabbed the compressor here out of the workshop, a little portable one. This particular one here, you just hook up to a 12-volt battery. So you can just hook this to the front of your car battery and then run down to potentially pump up your tyres. You'll see you've got your little gauges and all the gear on it. So that's one alternative. You can pick them up from your super cheap autos or any of your little auto shops in around the traps. But this for today, I actually have the privilege that this particular caravan has an onboard compressor. So again, when you're going through and you're looking at decking out your car, decking out your caravan, it may be an option for you to actually fit a compressor to your tow vehicle or inside of this particular caravan. And for ease of shooting this video, we grabbed the caravan with an onboard compressor. What have I got in my hand here? Inside of here are some little tyre deflators. So again, if you're going to be going, you know, in and out of different types of terrain, and you're going to be jumping on the beach and then back onto the bitumen, you're going to have to letting your tyre pressures down and pumping them back up on a regular basis. You want to be able to do it quickly. Again, letting the tyre pressures down can be a bit of a pain, but with these trusty little tyre inflators here, they come with a pack of 4, all right, and you can actually preset these. So I've got these preset at a beach setting, which I'll run through a little bit later, but I've got these set at 18 PSI, and you basically screw these on to the valve on the actual tyre itself, and it will let all 4 down simultaneously. It saves a lot of time. Once it gets down to the pressure that it's been preset at, it will just stop. Okay, so they are a very handy investment. You can pick them up for about 50 bucks, again, at your local super cheap BCF, you know, your auto shops and the like. So that is your little deflators, of course. You're gonna need, obviously, your lead and your inflator. Okay, so a little tyre inflator here with your gauge. Now this particular one is an Airbag Man brand. It's the same airbag compressor which has been fitted as an option to this Supreme Territory X Caravan in here behind it. So this is what I'll be demoing with. But again, for a lot of you, you may just be carrying the portable compressor unit up here. But if you want to be doing some beach driving, if you want to be going on the corrugations and you want to be seeing some different terrain, make sure before you set up and deck out your caravan and deck out your tow rig that you do have a compressor of some description and some tyre deflators of some description on board with you. Alrighty, so I'm going to start off by just checking exactly what PSI is in the tyres at the moment. We've been driving for a bit over an hour, so we'll get down, we'll check those. This is just a little tyre gauge, okay, a little portable gauge that isn't necessarily the one that is on the inflator there. So we're going to jump down, we're going to check exactly what they are, and then we'll show you this little onboard compressor system here. We'll get them pumped up to some road conditions. All right, so we're just shy of 50 PSI. So I'm just going to put a little bit of air in there. So as I mentioned, we have the luxury of actually having an onboard compressor in this. It's part of the airbag suspension system. So we have a little line out here that we can actually use the Airbag Man compressor that's on board. So we're plugged in with our Airbag Man inflator. I'm going to go up a couple of PSI to 50 before we hit the bitumen. Again, I like to be running at 50 PSI with this particular tyre when we are on the bitumen track. So let's jump to the back. We'll flick that on. Alrighty, so I'll just clamp that on there like so. Again, I can see I'm currently sitting at 47 PSI. 50. See, we're a couple of PSI short, so we'll just give this a little bit as well. Try and get both these, or all 4 actually, running at 50 PSI before we hit the bitumen. Beautiful. Cap back on. Okay, so there we have it. We've packed away our gear. from our little Airbag Man compressor. It makes it so easy when you have all the necessary gear on hand. It can make traveling so simple. So we've got 50 PSI in our all-terrain tires here at the moment. We're about to hit the bitumen. Now again, it is good to go back to that general rule of thumb. I'm a simple guy. I like to keep the simple math. And again, I'm not here giving any recommendations because every caravan is different based on the weights and based on the particular tire that you've got. But a little rule of thumb that I've always used, that my father taught me when I was a kid growing up, is that half, okay, of your speed is your tire pressure. So if you're doing 100 kilometers an hour down the road, and that's generally bitumen travel, blacktop travel, tires will be set at 50 PSI. If you're hitting the dirt and you're going between say 60 and 80 Ks an hour, you'll be between 30 and 40 PSI. That way the tire is going to absorb some of those corrugations, and if you're on the beach, chances are you're only ever going to be going kind of 30 to 40 kilometers an hour, and therefore your tire pressure is somewhere between that kind of 15, 16, and then your 18 and 20 PSI. So that's a little rule of thumb that I have always used, but again, make sure you do the homework based on your manufacturer's recommendations, because we know there's thousands of you that follow this page out there now, and you've all got different rigs, you've all got different setups, and it won't be a one size fits all. But for the purpose of today's video, again, 50 PSI for some road travel. We're about to hit the bitumen, and then we'll pull over before we get to a bit of dirt, and we'll go down, and based on how bad the corrugations are, we'll either drop these down to kind of 30 or 40 PSI. Okay, so we've just come back through Yankalilla and we just pulled off here to a nice little gravel road. We're going to run the next section here talking around gravel roads and corrugations. Now, guys, if you just have a few Ks, so in this instance we only have 5 Ks of gravel road before we're back on the bitumen, unless it is really bad, there is no need to come out and let your tire pressures down and then have to pump them back up again. But if you know that you're going to be in for a good couple of 100 kilometers, you know, a good couple of hours of corrugated roads where you're only going to be able to be sitting on 60 or 70 kilometers an hour, and you are going to shake the living daylights out of all of your kit, then that is when you want to be pulling up and lowering those tire pressures down. So again, when you're on corrugations, you want the tire to be deflated enough to absorb some of the corrugations as you're going through them. You want it to work in conjunction with your independent suspension. When you're working through corrugations, it's more of a feeling, okay? It'll feel too rigid if your tire pressures are too high. Okay, it'll feel like it is absolutely giving you a pounding. Your false teeth are going to be falling out and landing on the dash of your car if your tire pressures are up too high. So again, this one's more of a feeling based on the severity of the corrugations. Again, if it's a good gravel road, you may not need to worry, and if it's only a short distance, you may not need to worry. But always have a look at that rule of thumb. Again, I will run anywhere on corrugations between kind of 30, you know, sometimes even as low as 25 PSI on corrugation, 25, 30 PSI on corrugations. And again, we're only doing that kind of 60, maybe 70 kilometers an hour. Sometimes if they're really bad, heading out towards Lake Gardner and the like, you may even be even less again. So again, we're just gonna pop these down to 40 PSI just for this video. We're gonna hit this gravel road and then we're gonna finish off down at the beach. All right, now again, I've had these preset at 18, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to screw these on. These are going to be heading down as if they're ready for sand. But I'm just going to stop these and I'm going to manually test it with our little gauge here, our little portable gauge that we just used a moment ago. So we know these are set at 50 PSI. We've just come off the bitumen. Again, this is a pretty good road, so I'm not going to put this down too low. I'm going to run maybe 35, 40 PSI here, and we've only got 5 Ks before we get down to the beach. All right, so let's see what it's down to. All right, we're down to 40. This road is perfect. I shouldn't even be putting the tire pressures down for a road this good. It's nearly going to be as good as the bitumen, but again, just for the concept of the video, for what we're trying to bring to you right now, we just want to show you pulling up off the side of the road at the start of the dirt road, regardless, corrugations, what it is. Have a look at the conditions ahead, see exactly what you're in for. Have a look at the reviews of the road. Again, Wikicamps is great. If you're going into different campsites, they'll tell you what the road conditions is like when you're going in to that particular location. But again, your general rule of thumb, again, with that kind of 50%, depending on the corrugations, anywhere between kind of 25, 30 PSI, good gravel, good dirt roads, yeah, kind of 40. Sometimes you don't even have to change them at all. So let's hit the track. Let's get up closer. I can't wait to get down on the beach, because that's when we're going to really drop these down. We're going to get these down to kind of 18 PSI and show you getting down onto the beach. But for now, we're going to jump back in the car and we're going to hit this dirt road. Okay, so here we are down at the entrance to Silver Sands Beach. Now we are around about 10 minutes south of Aldinga here on the mighty Fleurieu Peninsula, and we're about to drive down here onto one of the beaches south of Adelaide. Now keep in mind, this beach is really, really firm, so the fact of letting these tyre pressures down is really only for the purpose of this video. Tyre pressures would not need to come down anywhere near as far to go on a beach like this, as it is absolute picturesque out there at the moment. But for the purpose of this video, I'm going to bring it down as if we were traveling in some soft sand. Now, as a bit of a general rule of thumb, whenever we are out and about, I will run a 18 PSI in the tyres of both the vehicle and the caravan whenever we're going on to any form of soft sand. That's a starting point. However, if you reference back to one of our videos when we had some experts on here, they were talking around the width of the tyre and getting twice the width of the tyre in the length of the tyre when it's deflated. So we're going to test that little theory. I've got 265s on here at the moment. So if we look at twice the 265, what's that? We're 530 millimeters in overall length of the tyre that we want purchased on the ground. Now the idea is we don't want to be dragging the caravan through the sand. We want a nice good footprint of that tyre tread. So again, the softer the sand, the bigger the footprint that we want, so it can actually glide through. And if we match the caravan to the tow vehicle, then you hope that we're going to get a nice track through that softer sand and not find any sticky points where we might come unstuck. So let's get to it. Okay, now I haven't got a tape measure on me. Again, if you wanted to run that rule of thumb, you can grab yourself a tape measure if you want to get really pedantic with it. But basically, I've just done my entire hand span there from pinky finger to thumb, around that 265 number that we have here as the width of the tyre. Now we want twice that. Okay, so we'll have a look at our purchase here now on where we actually sit. So that's kind of where we sit there. All right, so we really want, and again, this is rough rule of thumb. But if we have a look at the two lines that I've put here, our actual surface area of the tyre that is currently on the ground running at 50 PSI, as you can see, that's all that's sitting actually on the ground. So again, I don't have a tape on me, but we might be talking kind of 4 inches there. And if we have a look out at that kind of twice of the 265 rule that you'll see in a video of one of the experts that we had on in the past, you can see we have a lot more surface area of the tyre actually touching the surface of the ground, which is exactly what we want. We want that nice big footprint before we go onto the sand. So again, I'm testing this. Let's see whether or not this little theory works. I'm going to go to my 18 PSI, and then I'm going to see how close we are to our measurements there. So let's let these down. Alrighty, so these little gauges I've already had preset at 18 PSI, but basically they have a little lock nut there. So once you've got that setting, you just test them with a normal gauge. So again, I always carry this normal tyre pressure gauge here as well. So if I take that off now, I know that that's stopped, and we'll put this gauge on, we'll see how close we are to that 18. Again, if you've got them all preset the same, it makes life nice and easy. You can trust your gear, and you know that you're right. So if we have a look at that there, you'll see we're smack on 18 PSI. You see we've bellied out the bottom of that sidewall. We've got a lot more purchase on the ground here now. And our old mate's little rule of thumb of twice the width in length, if we actually stand back and have a look at that now, you can see we're pretty darn close. And again, I didn't have a tape measure to be able to run that through, but you can see we are pretty close there now. So we'll just quickly buzz around. We'll let the rest of the other 3 tyres on the van down. and we'll get to work and get down on this beach. Alrighty, so as you can see, they're just coming down now as we go. So now we just wait 5 to 6 minutes and they'll be right down. We'll go around, we'll test them out. All right, don't lose this. Handy little tools you want to keep with you all the time. Let's chuck these back in. All right, let's go. So there we have it, team. I really hope that this video on PSIs and tyre pressures in all different conditions has really helped you next time you encounter one of these type of road surfaces. So again, I really wish we could set up camp down here in the beautiful Fleurieu Peninsula here. We're on the beach, but unfortunately it's back to the dealership for us. But yeah, let us know below. Again, tyre pressure seems to be something you know, that you all want to talk about, and hence why we put a little bit of effort here into this video. But put a comment in the comment section below. What do you run? What do you run when you hit the beach? What's the lowest you've had to go to? Again, as we just said, we went down to 18 before demoing on this beach, but I have been in situations where I've been as low as 12, 14 PSI in the real soft sand. We went over to Streaky Bay and we just had to keep on getting lower and lower and lower as the sand was so deep. So again, make sure that you're driving to the road conditions. Make sure you look after your tyres and you look after your piece of kit. At the end of the day, you have this beautiful big investment here behind us. You want to make sure that you are giving it all the TLC. And when it comes to tyre pressures, they can be so important, but often so overlooked. So I hope you enjoyed this video. Make sure you hit subscribe. Pop a comment in the comment section. Let us know what you do when you're out and about. And until next time, stay adventure ready.